Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top focus tonight on Gravitas, a deadly suicide attack near the Pakistan-Afghanistan border has killed at least 7 Pakistani soldiers. We're getting you up to speed with the latest and the bigger picture on Pakistan's terror policies. That's coming up in just a bit. Also on the show for you tonight, China is reportedly expanding its missile strength in the Tibetan plateau. We tell you all about the larger implications. The US Army wants drones like the Shaheds. We tell you what's happening so far and what this means. All this and more coming up. A deadly suicide attack near the Pakistan-Afghanistan border has killed at least 7 Pakistani soldiers, once again bringing into focus and triggering question marks over Pakistan's own terror policies that increasingly appear to turn inwards. The blast targeted a military camp in North Waziristan, a region long used as a launchpad for Pakistan's covert operations across the border. And now that same territory is witnessing this. It's striking back, it seems, and the army has sealed the area, but details remain scarce. This attack coming on the same day as the 48-hour truce between Islamabad and Kabul expired. The short-lived ceasefire had momentarily paused the deadliest border clashes since the Taliban's takeover in 2021, and within hours of the truce, Afghan media reported Pakistani airstrikes on Kabul, strikes that allegedly killed and injured civilians. And shortly before the ceasefire expired, Pakistan's Foreign Affairs Ministry at a press briefing in Islamabad rejected any responsibility for the border clashes and accused the Taliban regime of attempting to divert attention from the presence of terrorist elements in Afghanistan. Qatar has reportedly offered to host peace talks between Pakistan and Afghanistan in Doha, but the offer may come too late. The trust deficit is enormous, and the border, once a symbol of Pakistan's influence, has now become one of its own greatest self-made vulnerabilities. But the turmoil is not just along the frontier there. From Balochistan to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to Punjab, Pakistan's internal map is lighting up with unrest. The very forces Islamabad once nurtured are now challenging its authority. Just take the recent crackdown on the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, or the TLP, what started out as a protest in Muridki, just 35 kilometers from Lahore, quickly turned bloody. Protesters were reportedly cornered by the police and the Pakistan Rangers. In the early hours of Monday morning, Pakistan Rangers reportedly started firing that lasted for hours. Videos captured chaos on the streets, screams, smoke, blood, reports suggesting the violence was not spontaneous. A secret meeting allegedly took place at Pakistan's intelligence headquarters days earlier. Senior military officials are accused of plotting to provoke the protest and then crush it to send out a message. And this marks a stunning reversal because the same TLP once enjoyed tacit support from Pakistan's military. The group, in fact, was born out of a 2011 blasphemy killing when a police commando assassinated the Punjab governor. Its founder turned that incident into a movement, and for years the TLP acted on the direction of the Pakistan army, mobilized when needed, silenced when not. But that alliance has collapsed. The army that once indulged the TLP is now firing at it. Pakistan's generals appear to be losing control of their own creations. And amid all this chaos, Pakistan Defense Minister has made explosive allegations. He blames former intelligence chief General Faiz Hamid for reviving the Taliban and strengthening terrorist networks that now threaten Pakistan itself. The Pakistan Defense Minister claims Hamid personally provided the Taliban with military aid, including armored vehicles, and enabled their 2021 resurgence in Afghanistan. The minister also pointed fingers at former Prime Minister Imran Khan and ex-army chief Qamar Javed Bajwa for being responsible for the return of Taliban to Pakistan. That, according to Asif, led to a resurgence of terrorism in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and other parts of the country. General Faiz Hamid, once tipped to be Pakistan's next army chief, is now under fire for creating a monster that the military can no longer tame. But critics and watchers would argue, and rightly so, which general in Pakistan has not engaged in such acts? The TTP, the TLP, a host of groups, splinter groups, are eroding the state's control, piece by piece. And tonight, Pakistan stands at that crossroad, battling insurgents on its borders, protesters on its streets, and divisions within its own ranks. Its once powerful military, the ultimate arbitrator of the nation in a way, now looks like an institution fighting shadows of its own making. The terror Pakistan exported for decades is now circling back, and this time there may be no truce that can hold. Clearly, the snakes have come to bite. China is expanding its missile strength in the Tibetan Plateau. A new report has revealed a major expansion of China's missile forces near Golmod city. This remote area perched high on the plateau there is reportedly emerging as a strategic hub for China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, also known as PLARF. But what exactly is happening there, and why should the world take notice? Here's why. Since 2021, when China's missile silos were first discovered in Gansu, experts have been tracking the rapid buildup of the long-range capabilities in Western China. Golmod has long served as a military logistics hub, but now satellite images and open-source analysis suggesting that a new missile brigade may be taking shape. One that is potentially being equipped with DF-26 missiles, a weapon with a range of up to 4,000 kilometers. Now, these are not just any missiles. The DF-26 has dual capabilities, which means that it can carry either nuclear or conventional warheads. DF-26, which is short for Dongfeng 26, is China's intermediate-range ballistic missile with a range of 4,000 kilometers. It is China's first conventionally armed ballistic missile, in fact, capable of striking as far as Guam, one of America's key military bases in the Pacific. So could this be China signaling its growing regional ambitions? Is that the message here? A new report showing a central base compound with high bay garages designed for transporter erector launchers, networks of roads leading to multiple launch pads, and even inflatable dome structures, which could possibly be decoys or temporary shelters to hide equipment from satellite observation. These features match the configuration of China's road mobile missile brigades that are designed for survivability and operational flexibility. According to experts, the new Golmod Brigade may initially field at least a dozen launchers, potentially expanding to more than 30. Over the coming years, that's a lot, in fact, and it comes at a time when China's rocket force is phasing out older missiles in favor of more advanced systems like the DF-26 and possibly the DF-27. In fact, local government reports and Chinese media indicating that PLARF units have been conducting training deployments, live fire exercises, and even civil outreach programs in Golmod. Troops have been stationed in the area for extended periods, reportedly, participating in field exercises and receiving legal education, a sign that China is fully integrating military operations with the local administration. What does all of this really mean for regional security is the immediate question. From Golmod, China could project power across South Asia and the Pacific, which could complicate America's strategic posture in the region. The dual-capable nature of the DF-26 also raises the stakes. In a crisis, it might be difficult to distinguish whether a missile is conventional or nuclear, complicating escalation calculations. In short, Golmod is no longer just a remote plateau city. It is becoming a linchpin in China's growing long-range strike network, the expansion signaling not just modernization but ambition. A China that is strengthening its deterrence, enhancing flexibility, and preparing for scenarios that stretch across the region. The question still is, how will America respond to China's growing missile capability? One thing as of now is clear. The eyes of the world are on Golmod. Donald Trump has delivered a stunning setback to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. After days of threats and tough talk, warning Russia that he would arm Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles if Moscow refused to return to peace talks, the US president has now pulled back. The threat is off the table, at least for now. For days, remember, Trump had been brandishing the possibility of sending Kiev one of America's most powerful weapons, the Tomahawk, a missile with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers, could strike deep inside Russia, even reach Moscow, and put hundreds of military targets at risk. The Kremlin had warned that such a move would mark, quote, a very dramatic moment in the war. Zelensky, who was visiting Washington for talks with Trump, was expected to press for the missiles during his White House visit. But on the eve of that meeting, Trump held a call with Putin, and soon after he changed course. Trump said America cannot afford to deepen its own missile shortage, dashing Kiev's hopes of securing the Tomahawks. But what really happened? What prompted Trump's U-turn? Or was this his plan all along? To use the threat as leverage, perhaps, and not as a promise. Let's break this down for you. First, what makes these Tomahawks such a big deal? Why are they so important? You see, the Tomahawk land attack missile is one of America's most powerful long-range weapons, and it's exactly what Ukraine has been asking for, because it would massively extend Kiev's reach, allowing it to hit targets deep inside Russia with precision. The US has already allowed Ukraine to use Army tactical missile systems with a range of about 300 kilometers. In fact, the Tomahawk, the precision-guided Tomahawk cruise missile, can strike targets from 1,000 miles, that's 1,600 kilometers away, even in heavily defended airspace. Think about that. Moscow, its oil refineries, its drone factories, its military bases, all could be within reach. According to the Institute for the Study of War, at least 1,900 Russian targets could fall within range of a full variant Tomahawk. Even a shorter 1,600-kilometer version could reach key sites including the factory in Yelabuga, where Russia is mass-producing Shahed attack drones being used against Ukraine. Right now, Ukraine has been using long-range drones to strike Russian oil refineries, some as far as 1,400 kilometers beyond the front lines. Now, these strikes have damaged facilities, but experts say drones alone cannot destroy heavily fortified targets. In fact, the ISW notes that drone warheads are small, about 120 kilograms on Ukraine's FP-1 drones, while a Tomahawk can carry a warhead nearly 4 times heavier. In short, Tomahawks would give Ukraine the power to strike harder, deeper, and with greater impact. And this is important because they are not just a magic bullet. War experts say that there has been an obsession in a way with the Tomahawk, even though it's based on decades-old technology. Then there is Russia, of course, with its modern air defenses, like Russia's S-400 systems, capable of shooting them down. Sure, Tomahawks could help pressure Russia's air defenses, but they will not actually change the course of the war. Still, even if some missiles get through, they could do some serious damage to strategic sites inside Russia. So the question is, would the US be willing to supply thousands of them? And that is unlikely, to put it simply. Meanwhile, Moscow has been sounding the alarm, of course. The Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, has said that the possibility of Tomahawks in Ukraine is causing extreme concern. President Putin warned that any supply of such missiles would mark a new stage of escalation. That's a familiar refrain. We heard similar warnings before the delivery of the F-16s, the Abrams tanks. None of them sparked a major escalation as such. But this time around, the diplomatic moves are already underway. Trump says his call with Putin was very productive and that the two leaders will likely meet in Budapest within 2 weeks. Zelensky, who is meeting Trump in Washington, remember, has credited the threat of Tomahawks for bringing Moscow back to the table. In fact, he posted on X, I'm quoting, "We can already see that Moscow is rushing to resume dialogue as soon as it hears about Tomahawks," quote unquote. But then, will these efforts really bear fruit is the question, and all eyes will be on that meeting between Trump and Zelensky. In a powerful reaffirmation of their enduring partnership, Russia has announced a significant move, underlining decades of robust military cooperation that goes far beyond the traditional strategic partnership. Addressing the press in New Delhi, the Russian ambassador emphasized that approximately 70% of India's military equipment is of Russian origin. He also highlighted that the relations between the two nations are built on deep trust, shared battlefield experience, and cutting-edge joint production. Russia has also expressed its readiness to support India's advanced medium combat aircraft program. Moscow has offered local production of its cutting-edge Su-57 fifth-generation fighter jets.
Building on this legacy, we can move confidently toward local production of the Su-57 fifth-generation fighter, supporting India's AMCA program.
This program is India's ambitious effort, remember, to develop its own fifth-generation fighter. It aims to push and bolster the combat capabilities with its focus on stealth, supercruise, and advanced avionics. It seeks to deliver state-of-the-art air superiority, precision strike, and survivability in contested airspaces. In fact, from the supersonic BrahMos missiles to the Su-30 MKI fighter jets, from T-90 tanks to naval frigates, the Indo-Russia cooperation has transformed India's defense capabilities. Technology sharing and local manufacturing are key factors which generally take center stage. And looking ahead, Russia and India are set to deepen their collaboration even further. Russia's Su-57 is a fifth-generation stealth multi-role fighter designed for both air superiority and precision ground attack missions. The Su-57 is comparable to the US F-22 and F-35 in terms of its capabilities. And with advanced features like super cruise, integrated electronic warfare systems, long-range air-to-air missiles, the Su-57 offers a decisive edge in air-to-air and air-to-ground combat. This announcement coming at a critical juncture after US President Donald Trump's recent claims that India had assured the United States it would stop buying Russian oil. And this statement was quickly rebutted by India's Ministry of External Affairs. India firmly reiterated that its energy import decisions are guided solely by its strategic interests and the need to safeguard Indian consumers in a volatile global market. All right, shifting focus for now to some breaking news coming in. A court in Antwerp cleared the extradition of Mehul Choksi. That's the latest coming in. Big developments. In fact, the court said that his arrest by the Belgian authorities on India's request was valid. The order coming in as a strong validation for India's case seeking his extradition, with Choksi having the option of appealing against the decision in a superior court in Belgium. In fact, he and his nephew Nirav Modi, remember, are accused of defrauding the Punjab National Bank of 13,000 crore rupees. Let's just get in further updates now from our Assistant Editor Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, with us. What more do we know at this point, Siddhant?
Well, so far it's a developing story, and we know that reports have emerged. In fact, WION has reached to the authorities in Belgium regarding this development. What has happened in the last 1 hour is that Mehul Choksi, the fugitive Indian diamond merchant accused of 13,000 crore rupees Punjab National Bank loan fraud scam, has the courts in Belgium have given their approval for the extradition. Now, remember that this marks the end of his 8-year run as a fugitive. Remember also that India have been chasing him for a long time. It was on April the 12th that the Belgian police had arrested Choksi at a hospital, basically acting on an Interpol red corner notice against him that was issued in 2018. A formal extradition request from India's CBI was sent, and we know that India has, of course, assured on the issue of human rights as well. Now, this will be a big development in terms of India's long-standing efforts to make sure that fugitives responsible for defrauding Indian banks are brought to justice.
Right, we're leaving it there for the moment, Siddhant. Thanks very much for getting us those updates for now. Big developments, of course, we keep a close eye on the latest on that front, but we're shifting focus for now. The shadows of Russian Shahed drone strikes have plagued Ukraine cities, raining destruction and fear, and now the tables are turning, it seems. A US-Ukrainian partnership just unleashed the ultimate counterpunch, an AI-powered deep strike drone that will rewrite the rules of modern warfare, it seems. Take a look.
For months, the terror has been relentless. Russia's low-cost Shahed-style drones, slow, loud, but deadly effective, have caused catastrophic damage, turning energy infrastructure and residential areas into rubble. But Kyiv has never been a passive target. Ukraine has already demonstrated its own deep strike capabilities. Ukraine's deepest strike was 1,800 kilometers inside Russian territory. Ukrainian drones have been regularly hitting strategic Russian targets far behind the front lines. The oil refineries and military installations deep inside Russia are not safe. The battlefield is now entering a critical new phase. US and Ukraine have joined hands to develop the ALM-20 Artemis. This is not just another drone. This is a 1,600-kilometer range kamikaze weapon, carrying a heavy 45-kilogram warhead. But its real power is invisible, artificial intelligence. The ALM-20 uses sophisticated visual algorithms for targeting, ensuring high-precision strikes even when the enemy attempts to jam GPS and satellite navigation. The ALM-20 mirrors Russia's Shahed-136 in silhouette, but it's no mere copy, it's a message. The same drone swarms that once terrorized Kyiv are now inspiring its revenge. Factories in Ukraine, the US and Europe are ramping up production. The air war is no longer about pilots, it's about processing power. What began as Moscow's low-cost terror campaign has now sparked an AI arms race, one that could decide the next chapter of the war. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And before we go on, here's a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We're getting you the latest from Kenya, where chaos gripped former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's funeral. We're getting you the latest from on the ground. Also on the show for you, what is the story behind a new super vaccine? What is known so far about it? We tell you all that you need to know. All this and more coming up. Shifting focus now to West Asia, where a dangerous new frontier appears to be emerging. Mossad is reportedly building a covert spy network inside Yemen, setting the stage for what could become the next flashpoint for Israel, perhaps. Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon have killed at least one person and injured 7 others. The strikes hit multiple locations, including the towns of Bnafaul and Ansar. In fact, the Lebanese Health Ministry confirmed the casualties, while Israel claimed its forces were targeting Hezbollah positions. The Israeli army has said it struck Hezbollah's military sites in Mazrat Sinai, but Lebanese president accused Israel of hitting civilian areas instead. In fact, he condemned what he called a clear violation of last year's ceasefire agreement, warning that Israel's attacks are meant to cripple Lebanon's infrastructure and derail its recovery under the guise of security operations. Meanwhile, the Houthis have announced the death of their military chief, Major General Mohammad al-Ghamari. He was killed alongside his son and several associates in what the Houthis describe as an Israeli airstrike. The Iran-backed group has vowed to retaliate. Israel's defense minister, meanwhile, confirmed the strike, saying Ghamari died from his wounds. While the Israeli prime minister has said Ghamari was eliminated along a series of terrorist commanders and vowed to continue pursuing others who threaten Israel, the Israeli military is claiming Ghamari was central to developing the Houthis' missile systems and weapons factories and was trained directly by Hezbollah and Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. But then amid all of this, a major revelation seems to be unfolding in Yemen. According to a Lebanese media report, Mossad has started recruiting Yemenis online, appealing to those opposed to the Houthis to join its secretive unit, 504. The report further claiming that Israel plans to expand its intelligence footprint in Yemen as a preemptive move before potential retaliation for the country's vocal support of Gaza. According to reports, the Netanyahu government intends to keep military operations in Yemen active even after the Gaza war has ended, or so it seems, allowing independent military action to continue.
Leo hii tukiwa tunaaga
chaotic scenes witnessed today in Kenya at the funeral ceremony of one of its most iconic political figures. Thousands gathered at the National Stadium to pay their last respects to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the veteran leader whose decades-long political journey helped shape Kenya's democracy. In fact, chaos erupted as crowds surged forward desperately to catch a final glimpse of the leader's coffin. Dozens were seriously injured in a stampede at the stadium. Visuals from the venue showing mourners crushed, collapsing, gasping for breath in the arena. President William Ruto, former President Kenyatta, foreign dignitaries, including Somalia's president, were among those in attendance. Kenyatta hailed Odinga's legacy, vowing never to let the ideals he fought for be rolled back.
As we bid farewell to Raila Amolo Odinga, I want us to vow that we will not allow the regression of human rights, democracy, and every other issue that Raila fought for. We will not allow that.
And we will still make sure his legacy lives on, and to our children as well, we will make sure this mighty person is never forgotten.
Violence also broke out at Nairobi's Kasarani Stadium yesterday. Security forces fired tear gas shells to control massive crowds. Local media reports that at least 4 people were killed in the clashes. Raila Odinga was a towering figure in the Kenyan political landscape, to say the least. He is known for championing civil liberties, multi-party democracy, the rights of the common citizens. Odinga, who died during treatment in India earlier this week at the age of 80, inspired generations of Kenyans. He led protests, endured imprisonment, contested 5 presidential elections. He will be laid to rest on Sunday at his family home. Teenagers in Poland are getting hands-on with the technology that has reshaped modern warfare and daily life. We are talking about drones. At the military high school, 15-year-olds are learning how to build, fly, and simulate attack drones in the country's first drone class, state-run drone class. Take a look.
No, to jest takie porównywalne w sumie do...
It's comparable to video games. It's fun. It's fun to fly. Everything goes fast. It's very realistic, but it's different if you're holding a real drone and flying like this.
To realistyczne.
There is a lack of young people who have this knowledge and who would be able to defend our country. It would certainly be a challenge to cooperate with the Ukrainian armed forces, but we are not ruling out this as a possibility, and we would like to start such cooperation.
Switching gears for now, a digital crisis quietly deepening across Southeast Asia, and the world is only beginning to catch up, it seems. A new global report has issued a stark warning that children in Southeast Asia are among the most exposed to online threats and among the least protected. The findings coming from the Child Protection in Cyberspace Index released by the Singapore-based DQ Institute. Let's just break this down for you. The report reveals that nearly 8 in 10 children in Southeast Asia between the ages of 8 and 18 have encountered at least one form of cyber risk, and that number jumps even higher in South Asia. From cyberbullying to data hacking and exposure to explicit content to online grooming, exploitation, these risks range in many kinds. And while countries like Australia, New Zealand, the UK are making significant progress with tough regulations and online safety laws, many developing nations still lack even basic digital safeguards. Australia has already passed legislation, remember, to ban under-16s from social media platforms, with strict penalties for platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. New Zealand, meanwhile, following closely, the UK's Online Safety Act is now in force, putting legal duties on tech companies to protect children from harmful content. Singapore also has proposed a powerful new law to compel platforms to remove harmful content and protect the users with tough penalties for non-compliance. Meanwhile, Malaysia considering banning social media for children under 13. After a recent school stabbing case raised alarm about online influence on youth violence. But despite these steps, most children in the region remain dangerously exposed. It's a major concern. Experts saying education, teacher training, parent awareness must accompany regulation to have a real impact. According to the CPC index, risks can be reduced by 15% if children are simply equipped with the right knowledge and digital skills. Low-cost, high-impact solution, especially for developing countries. In a world where a child can be targeted with just a click, unfortunately, the message is loud and clear. Cyberspace is no longer just a virtual space. It's the new front line when it comes to protecting our children and their futures. If you've been to Paris, chances are you've been to the Arc de Triomphe. Why are we talking about that monument in France tonight? Because US President Donald Trump seems to want a similar one in the United States, reportedly. He seems to be drawing inspiration from the French. He wants to leave his mark by building a Paris-style arch just west of the Lincoln Memorial. Remember yesterday on the show we told you about the mega White House dinner that was held where Trump unveiled this plan? President Trump on Wednesday welcomed nearly 130 deep-pocketed donors, allies, representatives of major companies for a dinner at the White House to reward them for their pledged contributions to the massive new ballroom at the White House. The ballroom, remember, comes at a huge price, with the price tag now estimated to be $250 million. In fact, it is the most significant renovation that Trump is undertaking during his second term at the White House. Now, this arch plan has created quite a buzz, though there is still no price tag attached to that yet. In President Trump's own words, it's going to be really beautiful, quote unquote. The arch would stand at the Washington end of Memorial Bridge, which spans the Potomac River from Arlington, Virginia. At the dinner, President Trump showed off 3 different size models of the arch, which will feature a statue of Lady Liberty on top. He said the largest one was his favorite. The proposed arch bearing a striking resemblance to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, the famous monument at the end of the Champs-Élysées, honoring those who fought for France during the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. A military parade held in Washington earlier this year to mark the Army's 250th anniversary was inspired by a similar event Trump had witnessed on the famous Parisian Boulevard 8 years ago, reportedly as a guest of France's President Emmanuel Macron. It was unclear as of now if the White House has presented the proposal to the National Capital Planning Commission, reportedly, which, remember, is responsible for planning and siting monuments, memorials and also statues there in the city. The commission's offices, incidentally, have been closed during the government shutdown. South Korea's military might and aviation ambitions were on full display at the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition. Jets roared as the Air Force's famous Black Eagles painted the sky with national symbols. This year's event, with 600 companies from 35 countries, is the biggest yet. Take a look.
While photographing the Black Eagles, they looked so incredibly cool, even through the lens, that I was moved to tears. It was truly amazing.
America's love affair with plastic is turning into a financial nightmare. This year, household credit card debt hit a record $1.33 trillion. From Hawaii to California to Texas, debt levels are mounting. Many Americans are struggling just to make the minimum payments on their credit card dues. All this while the U.S. economy shows signs of severe strain, and the government shutdown is set to cost $15 billion every week, reportedly. Let's just look at what the numbers actually look like. According to Wallet Hub's August 2025 report, some U.S. states are feeling the pain more than others. Households in Hawaii carry the highest credit card debt, with an average of $15,100 per household. $15,100 per household. California and Alaska are not too far behind, with average debts of $13,800 and $13,600 respectively. And it does not just stop there, as New York, Texas, Florida also see credit card balances climbing month after month. Nationally, the average U.S. household owes $10,668 on credit cards, which is the highest on record. On the other side, credit card interest rates in the U.S. now average nearly 25% per year. In fact, as a result, delinquencies are up 28% from last year. While inflation may have cooled down somewhat, stalled income growth has trapped millions of Americans in revolving debt. Credit card debt is not just an American story, of course. While the U.S. clearly tops the global charts, the U.K. is not too far behind, with credit card debt of around $9,200 per household. Canada's household credit card debt standing at around $7,800. Those figures on the screen there. Japan and Europe's figures, meanwhile, are about half of Canada's. Where does India stand? It's less than $1,000 per household. Still, India's credit card debt has risen in recent years, with Warren Buffett, remember, recently warning about the rise in consumer loans, especially small-ticket EMI-driven purchases. He cautioned consumers to be aware of debt traps. Analysts had predicted a surge in consumer debt ahead of the festive season, with a boost in purchases from GST rate cuts. Still, America's debt levels are no match for any country in the world. Just to put that into perspective, America's record $1.33 trillion credit card debt is now larger than the total GDP of several countries. The US household credit card debt alone is more than the entire GDP of the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Poland, Switzerland, Belgium, Taiwan, Ireland, Argentina. Analysts warn the US could be heading for a debt-driven economic slowdown where consumers spend less, businesses pull back, and growth begins to fall. But then the biggest question here is, can the world's biggest economy keep borrowing its way out of trouble? In what could be a major scientific breakthrough, researchers claim they have developed a super vaccine that could one day stop cancer from growing or spreading. Scientists at the University of Massachusetts have created a new shot that uses tiny nanoparticles to train the immune system to attack cancer cells. According to a study, this experimental vaccine has shown powerful results in mice. Tests revealed that nearly 9 out of 10 vaccinated mice stayed free of tumors, reportedly. The vaccine worked against deadly cancers like pancreatic and triple-negative breast cancer. According to the study, the shot not only reduced existing tumors, but it also prevented new ones from forming. Vaccines generally work by delivering an antigen and an adjuvant that helps the immune system recognize the antigen and eliminate it. To overcome difficulties faced in finding suitable adjuvants in cancer treatment, the researchers said they developed a super adjuvant, which basically delivers 2 different adjuvants that they said helped the mice's body to recognize and destroy cancer cells faster, while also giving the body a stronger and longer-lasting defense. In one experiment, mice that received the vaccine stayed healthy even after being exposed to aggressive melanoma cells. Around 80% of them remained tumor-free, while those given standard vaccines survived only a few weeks. The shot also blocked the disease from spreading to vital organs like the lungs. Tumor rejection rates reached 88% for pancreatic cancer, 75% for breast cancer, 69% for melanoma. Researchers say their method could become a universal platform to fight many types of cancer in the future. Human trials have not yet started, but the early results perhaps bring fresh hope in the battle against the disease. Something ancient is racing through our skies. It's older than the sun, stranger than any comet, and it's rewriting what we thought we knew about the cosmos. The interstellar mystery getting weirder by the day. Take a look.
At first, it looked like a comet of fuzzy coma, a faint tail, dust drifting off into space. But this intruder defies expectations. It's behaving like nothing we have seen. Discovered on July 1st, 2025 by the Atlas telescope in Chile, 3I Atlas is moving through our solar system at over 2,45,000 kilometers per hour, the fastest known visitor from interstellar space. But what has scientists whispering isn't its speed, it's what's following it. 9 smaller glowing objects moving in perfect formation with Atlas, as if it were leading a convoy. The once reddish glow has now turned green. Its behavior defies logic. Its tail glows electric green, and it's spewing water vapor like a fire hose on full blast. Billions of gallons bleeding into space while it remains perfectly intact. This much water, this far from the sun, shouldn't exist. Scientists now believe 3I Atlas formed before our solar system was born, carrying elements that could seed life across galaxies. In few days it will disappear behind the sun and will again emerge in November 2025. But when it re-emerges, telescopes worldwide will lock on, because this is no passing comet, it's a messenger from the dark beyond, whispering secrets we are only beginning to hear.
On to the world of sport for now. A new experiment in cricket has been launched. It's called Test 20. It basically blends the multi-innings format of Test cricket along with the 20 overs per innings that we see in the shortest format. But then, is there really space for such a format in international cricket? And will it get the backing of the ICC? Let's just first tell you about this new experiment. The format has been conceived by sports entrepreneur Gaurav Bahirwani, who is the executive chairman of the 116 network. The organizers are calling it cricket's fourth format, but at this moment it's only an exhibition event. It's a blend of the oldest and the newest format of the game test and T20 cricket. A match in the Test 20 will be played over 80 overs in total, which basically comes down to 2 innings of 20 overs per side. Now, this tournament will be open for past and present players, but the involvement of top-level active Indian cricketers is highly unlikely, given the BCCI's strict rules. The organizers say that 8 Indians and 8 foreign players will be involved in the first edition, which is slotted for January 2026. 6 franchises will participate, 3 based in India and the other representing Dubai, London and the United States, respectively. What works for the tournament is that it is backed by true greats of the game, among them being A.B. de Villiers, Harbhajan Singh, Matthew Hayden. World Cup winning captain Clive Lloyd also gave this exclusive quote to WION about the new event. I'm quoting, "I'm a Test cricket person. There's no doubt about that. I feel we have neglected Test cricket over the years and we need to get that back into the system. It examines every part of your cricketing skills. I don't want to see the end of Test cricket. It would be a tragedy." That's what he said. Now, remember, this is not going to be played at international level and the success of the league is not a guarantee. There are other leagues as well which have experimented a new format, among them being Hong Kong Super Sixes and the 100. The Super Sixes, again, an exhibition tournament with 6 players on each side, playing 6 overs in an innings. The Hong Kong event is popular among fans, but not sanctioned by the ICC, while the 100 has been heavily criticized for its format and could undergo a massive change next season. ICC approval is highly unlikely in the near future and the cricket calendar is already packed. Now, cricket needs to reach out to a new audience and there needs to be a proper long-term plan for the sport to go global. The tag of the 4th format of cricket is a heavy one indeed, and only time will tell whether the Test 20 can live up to it. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. This is me, Molly Kampir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good weekend.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
This Diwali week, in the spirit of illumination and discovery, we're exploring a house at the bottom of the ocean. We're boarding a ship to Antarctica. We're taking a ride on hydrogen-powered race cars. We're discovering hidden secrets that lie beneath layers of paint on Caravaggio's paintings. and we're taking a virtual tour of browsers powered by AI. All this and more on Tech It Out, only on WION at these times.
As people across the world celebrate the Festival of Lights, we get you a list of movies you can watch this Diwali season, along with a festive style guide that you can take cues from. Also know all about Hayao Miyazaki's timeless films of Ghibli